You're watching Video Azores, and I'm Isabel, or Isabel if you're Portuguese. And this is about the Azores, where they are and what they are. And I might just be Atlantean, 99.1% Azorian, specifically from the San George Island. The Azores are a volcanic chain of islands in the middle of the North Atlantic. They're extremely isolated. They're also probably not Atlantis. And if they were, there were no people on it. So I'm not really related to that particular population. And otherwise, I would imagine that I'd have an affinity for crystals and some special powers to go with it. And that has not materialized. Just to show you how isolated the Azores are, here's the Google map. Here's Google Maps, and there's the Azores. They're like right here. Do you see them? Obviously, my cursor's kind of large, but those are the Azores. That's Newfoundland. That's the coast of Portugal. Those are the Canary Islands. That's Madeira. You can get closer. You can actually see Madeira. There's two islands in the Madeira Islands. And then there's 9 islands in the Azores. We've got Santa Maria, San Miguel, which is the biggest island. That's Terceira. That's Graciosa. That is San George. That's Pico. That is Fayal. And then there's Covo and Flores. So they're kind of grouped a little bit. So we've got the West group, the middle group, and the East group. And like San George is the island that's known for cheese. The state had a American Air Force base on it. And various different islands are known for various different things. But this is how crazily isolated the Azores are and how difficult to find them on a map. Here are my 23andMe ancestry composition summary. I am 100% Isabel. That's good. 99.1% Spanish and Portuguese. So we're not like the fancy countries, right? And then I'm also 0.8% Western Asian and North African, which is not a surprise because the Moors came all the way up to Portugal, started colleges. And then there's the fact that I'm basically from the San George Island. That's it. There's Azores being all like isolated, and I'm from San George. The interesting thing about 23andMe is it actually talks about like, Portuguese cheese, which is awesome. And the fact that in the 19th and 20th centuries, many San George residents relocated there. In that time period, that's when basically my whole family moved to California, to exactly that, the San Joaquin region. So if you're watching this and you're from the Azores, we might just be cousins. I also claim all the famous Portuguese people of Azorean descent. Nelly Furtado's family is from San Miguel and via Canada. Steve Perry's family is from Pico. They moved to San Francisco and changed the last name from Pereira to Perry. And Nuno Betancourt was born in Praia de Victoria Terceira, which is the island most of my mom's side of the family and my mom grew up on Terceira. There's John Philip Sousa, who invented American marching band music by listening to Portuguese Azorean marching band music. Every Holy Ghost festival has a marching band. Every village has their own songs. It is kind of a thing for the Holy Ghost festivals. And the fact that John Philip Sousa's dad from the Azores is really not surprising. My dad's from the Azores, and I basically got exposed to a lot of that type of like marching music at all of the festivals. If you have to be like anywhere near the parade, you will like equate marching band music with the Azorean culture. So like that, there's a little bit of a cultural appropriation thing, just saying. But whatever. Um, I'll do probably a video on cultural appropriation at some point, but at this point, I'm just gonna cover the history of the Azores, and each individual island's gonna get its own video. It's just really interesting because they're named very crazy things. Like the Azores are actually named after a goshawk, which is a bird that doesn't exist in the islands. It's actually on the flag. It's like that big yellow bird. But there are birds there. That's all they found was birds. So there's a pretty good chance that one of those birds looks very much like a goshawk, but who knows? I mean, it's a super isolated place. There is some information about the limited genetic diversity, just like any isolated island, like the Galapagos. So there's varieties of flora and fauna there that you don't find in other places. So hopefully some of that information will be interesting. If I made a mistake, got something wrong, or you have any questions, complaints, or compliments, I really want to make this better. This is my first video. And just to cap all of this up, I'm going to plug my dad a little bit. His name is Vital Marcelino. He has a program on TuneIn Radio called Radio Azores. He used to be on KLBS for a very long time, along with my cousin Miguel Castro. I'm related to Miguel Castro on my mom's side. And he's been singing at festas for a million years and selling cars from Smith Chevrolet for a long time. So your family may have bought a car for my dad. So you know, the hopes that this is interesting for people who aren't Azorean is high, but I know how much we like talking about ourselves. So here's hoping that that you like this. It's just I've noticed that like in the Sacramento area, a lot of people don't know where the Azores are, or they don't know where their family might have been from. Because in the Sacramento area, which where I live, there's a considerable amount of Portuguese people, but a lot of them are so disconnected from the culture because their families immigrated here during the gold rush. So I'm kind of tired of explaining this to people. I'm hoping now I can just like, hey, there's a YouTube video. You can watch it. I hope you like it. But I'm going to continue this because really I got nothing better to do than sit here and talk about the Azores. So, you know, beijos, abraços, até logo, and buena suerte.